Hello and welcome back to Scale to Exit with Alejandra Santos. I'm very excited for you to be here today. If you are a new person into this platform, welcome, welcome, welcome. We love to have you here. And if you have been already in the platform, thank you so much for coming back. Please, to everybody that comes here, don't forget to subscribe, like, and also leave me a comment. I want to know from you. Okay, I want to get to know you. And if you have somebody in mind that you would like me to interview, please as well send me a comment and I will see how we can make that person come here. Just kidding. We're not going to make anybody do anything. But today I'm very excited to bring you this guest. If you guys have noticed before that I always talk about the mindset is so important for creating business success, which is very important for creating business legacy, business wealth, for living a happy life in general. So today's guest, he's gonna actually talk about what can we do to become more powerful at the way of handling our thoughts and our mind, and what tools, what things can we do at home that will allow us to really transform our lives. So I'm gonna give you this quick intro here. Okay, so he's a true force in the world of leadership and transformation. So Curtis McCullom has not only worked with some of the most iconic names in personal development like Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, and Jim Rohn, but he has also coached sales teams, guided companies to triple their revenue, and helped leaders shift mindsets that were holding them back. So, in this episode, we dive into the mindset shifts that make growth possible, how to break through subconscious blocks that sabotage success, and why authentic leadership starts with knowing your own values. Whether you're scaling a business, leading a team, or navigating personal change, Curtis will give you the tools to reframe challenges into opportunities for expansion. Now, he also blends neuroscience, sales mastery, and leadership coaching into a powerful approach that's as much as about personal growth as it's about business success. So you're going to come out of this with a great wealth of information and feeling lighter and better out of this conversation. So, how are you feeling about that? Because I'm feeling excited that you're here today and you're about to get really good insights on how to work with the mind. Um, okay, so with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and bring him in and I will see you on the other side. All right. Well, I'm very excited to have you here, Curtis McCullum. You are not only iconic, you not have only worked with iconic names for personal development, but you've also have coached sales teams. You have worked with companies to triple their revenue, to become more efficient, to change their mindset. I mean, you've done a lot for leadership, for leaders out there. So I want to know, my first question is for you, what drives your passion to be this wholesome individual that brings so much growth into people?
Well, my passion actually started about probably 40 years ago. I was in sales and I wanted to become the best version of myself. So I studied all the greats of that time, Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, all of the greats at that time, because I wanted to be a motivational speaker. That was what I esteemed to be. And so what drives me now is actually helping other individuals become the best version of themselves. I mean, that's why I wake up early and stay up late. It's because I have a passion, a drive, a love for people and really seeing them change their lives.
So you mentioned some really big names. You mentioned Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, right, as
Yeah.
well. So you've worked with them, and then what is like the one core lesson that you have learned from them that you still incorporate today and you teach others?
Probably one of the major core lessons is probably from Jim Rohn. He was like this fanatical or this sensational philosopher, and he's like, do what you can, do the best you can, and rest very little was one of his sayings. It's like one of those things. Like, then he also talked about looking around you, the five people who are around you, and thus who you are becoming. So those little tidbits like that still lives with me every day. Obviously, another one of my biggest ones is and Think and Grow Rich and Napoleon Hill some of his philosophy and being persistent and those things like that.
Yes, I love that you mentioned Think and Grow Rich. I feel like everybody has read their book, that book at some point in their life. If you own a business, you know what the book is about.
Yeah, that's a staple. Think and Grow Rich is a staple book that, for me, in my opinion, because I still go back and reread it over and over again because of the principles. Or there are principles. Principles don't die. Certain things may go away, but if you go back and look at the core principles that was taught in that book, I mean, it's phenomenal. It still lives today. It was probably one of the best written self improvement books, in my opinion, that has ever been written.
So you've had a very dynamic career, I would say, because you've been everywhere, I feel, right? You've been like the coach, you've also been the salesperson, you've also been the leadership person. And because you've seen it so much and now you're doing neuroscience in your coaching and you're applying that to leaders and business owners out there, like what is one mindset shift or tactical change that people, no matter what they're doing, can make a any kind of transformation possible?
I think the major thing that I've learned in the last couple of years, I've incorporated in my coaching practices what I call a legit mindset, which is learning, growing, expanding, and transforming. To me, that core principle right there is what can actually drive an individual. And this is why. The reason why is that wherever you're going through in your journey, if you're scaling, if you're leaving, if you're exiting, whatever you've gone through, if you can look at that as an opportunity to learn, to grow, and expand and transform, then you won't look at it as a failure. You look at it as an opportunity to actually become better. And I think that's one of the major things I really kind of share with all of my clients now.
I love that you said that. So you just basically are saying rephrase the situation that you have in front of you to a way of transformation. Like no matter if the output is negative or positive, as long as you're evolving, you're the person that you're becoming is better and you're transforming, then it's always going to be good,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. And think about it. I mean, and I've gone through a lot, right? You've gone through, even in my business, it's transforming it. Every day I get up, that doesn't mean it's going to be a great day. But at the end of the day, I can stop and say, okay, well, what did I learn from this day? What can I grab from this day? Because you think about like this too, Alejandro, the world itself is still expanding, right? As we know it, if they look at the universe 5 or 10 years ago, it was one form, and now they look at it again, it's still transforming, it's expanding. So, as individuals, that we can take that same principle, that knowing that we are part of this universe and that we too are expanding. So, when we go through trials, when we go through tribulations, when we go to ups and the downs, the heartbreaks and the setbacks, we can look at those things and says, okay, now yeah, it hurt. Yes, it was uncomfortable. And what can I learn from that? How can I grow? How can I expand? How can I now become a better version of myself?
So, okay, so I want to ask you something because as business owners, I am one, I work with them. We focus a lot on the future, right?
Yes.
Future revenue, profits, growth, and how do we do that, right? So, having a transformational mindset that we're talking about right now is really hard when you're focusing on the future more than in the present. And sometimes maybe in the past, because then you look at the mistakes you've done and they're hunting you, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh my God. Why would you? What is something that you do with your clients regarding that?
Basically, and that's a great point, is that number one, we want to be motivated about the future, right? So we want to put that out there. And one of the things I learned way in early in my sales career is, okay, once I set the objective, we'll just say for conversation, $100,000 a year. That's my objective. Once I set the objective, that's set. Now, only every day, now I'm just focusing on the things that I can control. How many people can I call? How many people can I see? How many sales can I close? The goal is already there. I'm leaning towards that. But what's most important for me right now is taking inspired action. What's coming up today that I can do to influence the objective I've already set?
Yeah, so you're saying, small steps one day, focus on the daily steps, but those
Yeah,
accumulation of steps will do the transformative change that you want at the end.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a real. So, are you like? Do you agree with people when they say focus only on three tasks a day, just the most important ones, or do you say maybe focus on more?
Basically, what I try to do personally every day, what I do is I set my intentions for the day,
Hmm.
and they may change. Obviously, globally, I know things I have to do. I'm
Hmm.
preparing for a podcast, or I'm
Hmm.
preparing for this. Those are things I have to get done that day.
Hmm.
But what I try to do is allow myself to have space so that when I have an inspirational moment where something comes into my mind and come to my universe and says, Curtis, you need to do this now. That's what I do. Is
Right.
like, okay, this like I need to write this article now. For some reason or another, I was moved to write an article or whatever it is. I do that inspired action because those inspired actions are the things that actually propel our life farther and faster, more than say I'm going to focus on these three things. Yeah, I want to focus on those three things, but those three things might not be the most important things I need to do right now. And so that's kind of I always try to stay in the now in every morning, like I say, every morning when I'm doing my intentions, they change. I know what I have to do, but if something comes up that says, Curtis, write this article or do this thing or make that call or do whatever you need to do, that's what I do.
I love that. So you're basically saying, yes, do your three things, but honor your creativity, your intuition, your inner voice. Just honor
Yes.
that. That's what's telling you. Because most of the times, yeah, people hear that. I am guilty of that. And then I put it for later, and then you're overthinking, and then you overthink, and then you don't get it done. And then,
And the moment is past. That moment, and you don't know. And it's like I think one of the philosophers used to say, is like the moment that's what counts. It's like what can you do right now? Because that might be the thing that drives you farther and faster than any other thing that you can do. Is like what is it right now? Can I what I can do? I think I even wrote that in my journal this morning. It's like, wow, what's the one thing that I can do today or whatever comes to me that will allow me to move farther and faster than I've ever did before. And whatever it is, I just need to do it right then, right now. It's like, okay, it's in my mind right now. Let me do it. Let me move towards it.
okay, so is that something that you were, okay, that would you recommend companies when they hit a plateau in sales or in people or talent processes or product or anything like that?
Yeah, I think that's global. I mean, even with companies, it's according to how big the company is. Obviously, you
Hmm.
can't make moves as fast as a solopreneur like I can. Meaning, like
Hmm.
I can wake up and says, okay, oh, I got this article, I can write it
Yeah,
and publish it and get my guys to do the video editing and all that stuff.
yeah.
But with bigger companies, obviously, might have to go through different things. But at the same
Hmm.
time, what they can do is now put that on their agenda, put that on their awareness in order for them to now do something in that nature because it definitely needs to be explored.
Okay, so I see. So the mindset is still the same. A small scale or large scale of organizational structure is the same, just if, but the execution may be delayed, but still
Absolutely.
should be the same.
I,
Okay.
I, I think so. I mean, that's my opinion is that
Hmm.
regardless of who you are, what you're doing, we're still all what organisms, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Is like, but so I'm the head of my organism,
Hmm.
my company. And
Hmm.
everything flows down through me anyway. At the same time, if there is an organism that still move through it, and we need to kind of honor it and still kind of figure out what is our next step should be. And those inspired steps to me is some of the strongest ones.
Okay. Wow, that's really cool. So, okay, in your career as a coach, because you have coached several, business owners and obviously executive and leaders, how do you move somebody from being, poor mindset or they have blocks or scarcity mindset, somebody that's getting in the way of their own success, and you can tell because maybe subconsciously they have, I don't know, some bad belief or fear
Yeah.
or doubt, to somebody that's really, but they want to move forward, right? How do you move them from that state to somebody that's like, revenue is coming, good team members are coming, growth is coming?
Well, usually you said I love how you phrased it. Really, Alejandra, is number one. One of the first things I do in my coaching framework is releasing any negative emotions or baggage. Right. We
Mhm,
have to first identify what that is.
mhm,
Limiting belief is I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy.
mhm,
I can't, whatever that is,
mhm,
or something other, anger, guilt, sadness, fear, whatever those things are. One of the things I do in my coaching, which is different than most,
mhm,
is that we try to figure out what the root cause of that is.
mhm,
So if you coming to me and says, you know what, Curtis, I got a block. I felt like I hit a plateau. I don't know what is blocking me. I don't know what it is. Then we figure out, okay, what's the root cause of that, the first event, so that if we can release the first event, then we can have more like a domino effect and clear out the whole, what we call a gestalt of that event.
mhm,
And so that's so important for me. Now, just to give you an example of what I'm talking about, a few weeks ago, I'm saying a few weeks, I had a personal block,
mhm,
meaning I'm seeing all these transformations in my clients. I'm like, wow, this is happening. This is, everybody is going to need transformation. They're giving me calls back like, Curtis, my income is increasing. I'm getting these calls I've never gotten before. And I'm looking at myself like, okay, Curtis, what's going on? I feel like I had a block, right? And so I called one of my buddies in and we did one of my sessions in mental and emotional release, where we went back and says, okay, and this is the belief that what kept coming up for me. Success is hard and difficult. Success
mhm,
is hard and difficult. That was kind of what that was recurring within my mind. Every time I would go get to the next level, I would say,
mhm,
man, this is hard. This is difficult. But we did the session. It takes about 10 minutes for us to do this. We
mhm.
went back and figured out that when I was around two, that's when I accepted and decided this belief. And then so we reframed it to I'm persistent, I'm courageous, and I'm strong. That was the reframe of that belief. Then we brought it all the way back forward to now giving everything that I in between there that same belief. This is the thing about it. When I did the session, in my mind, my subconscious mind took me back to a time when I was about two.
Mhm,
I didn't see it. I don't know it, but I had a feeling that that's where that feeling was, success
mhm.
and difficult. Now, when I finished the session, I was curious. So I called my mom and says, Mom, what was happening in my life when I was around two? She says, well, around two, when you were around two, your baby sister was about to be born and you were being potty trained. And this is what she said. Oh, and it was hard and difficult for you to be potty trained. So the same message that I accepted and decided at age two is the same message that had been trailing with me all of my career. And I can go back now and look at time after time when I became number one in the company. What happened when I was doing the top 15% of my company? What happened when I was producing over $1 million in revenues? What happened? And most of the time, Alejandro, the same belief was still trailing me. Even though I was successful, even I had successful moments, that belief was still blocking me from actually become even better than I could have become. Success is hard and difficult. And that was something that I accepted when I was age two. Didn't even know it, but it was there.
Wow, that's really interesting to see how at that moment you were just being potty trained and your
Yeah.
mind was saying, this is so hard and difficult. And then he translated that to success because you were trying to be successful. Kids are like the minds when the developing of the mind at that age is crazy to me how we absorb and
Yes.
think about things and how that affects us through our whole life. So you
Yes.
basically go there and then you transform reframe that with the individual into something more positive and
Yes.
more fulfilling. And then does somebody once they do that reframing process, do they get to see things shift right away, or is it takes time? How do they feel different?
Well, basically, automatically you're going to feel different. I mean, like immediately you're going to feel different. Now the process of changing is, to me, for my philosophy, is like more four steps. Like number one, I need to get rid of the baggage, right?
Hmm.
Number two, now I need to set a clear objective of what I want to go or who I want to become.
Hmm.
Obviously, I already had that goal. Then this is important. I take inspired action. Meaning, and now when things come up for me to do that I feel like it is could have potentially been hard and difficult, I'm moving with that. What I do with my clients, though, is also I create for them what I call a bespoke daily mental supplement, which is a meditation. All the
Mhm.
things that we have gotten rid of, or
Mhm.
now we have reframed, I put it in a meditation so that now that they can either, like for me, I created one for myself. And so
Mhm.
now in the morning, right before I start my day, I do about an 18-minute meditation, kind of reframing and also conditioning the new behavior. That's so important. Sometimes people think it's a one and done. I'm done. How like, I can drop the mic. Well, think about all the professional athletes out there,
Mhm.
the best Kobe Bryant and the Michael Jordans and all these kind of guys, they don't get coached once. They continue to get coached or conditioned, or they condition their bodies. And that's the same way we have to look at our mind. Our mind needs to be conditioned daily because we are bombarded with so much negativity. If we're
Mhm.
not putting something back in, then the
Mhm.
negativity definitely can take us over.
So I 100% agree with that, and that's exactly why I invited you to the podcast, because not only I see it in my clients when I talk to them and when the business is moving forward and it's growing to multi-millions, and I see them, they struggle with this mindset. There's some kind of block there, and I really cannot do anything about it. I mean, I try to talk about it, and but I don't have the skill set or the expertise to really transform those thoughts. I can
Right.
only do everything very consciously. And I also seen it with executive leaders, and I've seen it in personal lives. I see it with myself sometimes when I have my blocks and I know something is blocking me. So that's why, because I know successful businesses do rely a lot on the business owner, at least for a big period of time. And sometimes businesses, like the ones that our audience, the audience is, sometimes the teams are very small and it's still very impacted by the business owner decisions.
Yes.
So that's why I invited you here, because I wanted you to shed some light that this is something that you can work on. What are some things that you say that you could tell people that are listening that they can do if they feel like they have a blockage but they don't know where to start?
Basically, the first part of starting, in my opinion, is acknowledging that I have a block.
Okay.
you know, a lot of times I said on a podcast the other day, or when my assistant's father passed away a few days ago, and what I shared with her, it says it's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay to be not to be okay and pretend that you are okay. One of the challenges that business owners have, and most of us have, is that we pretend that we are okay and we're not okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the number one thing is, from the one, acknowledging the fact that I'm not okay. And that alone actually starts the juices to flowing. And whatever that is, which says, okay, then once you acknowledge it, don't identify with it. What I mean by that is this, Alejandro. If I'm feeling sad, I'm not going to say I am sad. I'm going to say I'm feeling sad. If I said I can't make money, no, I'm feeling like I can't make money. Now, it's not like personal. I'm not making it personal, right? So now, once I acknowledge it and now put it outside of me, saying, okay, this is how I'm feeling and this is what I'm going through. This is what I'm experiencing. Then what I tell people to do is now allow their minds to relax. How you relax? Basically, you do what we call um, deep breathing to put our bodies in what they call the parasympathetic nervous system is being activated. So
Mm-hmm.
I tell them to take some deep diaphragmatic breaths until their body kind of relax. They go ahead and close their eyes and kind of see and sense themselves now being relaxed. Then ask themselves the question, what is it that I need to learn? What is it I need to do? How can I now overcome this? Not Do not ask uh, 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 why questions. Why am I going through this? Why questions will send you down a rabbit hole that you'll never come out of. Ask yourself how or what, uh, how can I overcome? What do I need to do to find my next step? And then listen to whatever comes up. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the ways. individuals can actually do a lot for themselves is really just stop and be honest, number one. And number two, ask themselves the right questions.
Wow. So basically, number one, accept that you are, having a block, right?
Yeah.
I feel like, is that the hardest step to like
I was
acknowledge?
for some. I mean, especially for business owners, because we want to think that we're all that in a bag of chips. So we don't want to never. We never want to let people know that we are real people.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we
You know,
haven't.
we don't want to let people know that, hey, we too go through problems and we have challenges ourselves. So we always. That's why you have so much unauthentic people on TikTok and on all these other social media accounts. Like, hey, standing in front of a car, but it's not their car, or they doing some things that make people think and feel like they got it all together. And when it boils down to it, they don't. Right.
Yeah.
So we have to be honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
one of the things I kind of told myself to this year is like, look, I'm going to be Curtis. I'm going to be authentic to who I am. I'm going to let people know, yeah, just like you sometimes have problems putting on your pants one leg at a time. I do too. This life is a journey and it is a process. And I too have to get up. I have to condition my mind. I have to do the steps that I need to do in order to move to the next step. So one of the most challenging things that most people experience is acknowledging and being honest with themselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree with you on that one. I feel like that is the hardest one. Honest with oneself and then honest with other people. But honest with oneself is the biggest important factor, I think,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Because we can be so optimistic too. And then the second one is once you accept that you are having a block, then don't make it personal, right? Like
Right.
don't make
Well,
it like
basically,
I
sometimes we say um, it's easier to say we'll use sad as a thing. There are
yeah,
people who say I am sad. Well, no, you're not sad. You're feeling sadness,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's like, or I am broke. No, you're just in a state right now that money is not flowing like it should be flowing.
Yes, yes,
So it's
correct.
like I'm not identifying that I am. I'm not. That's because now I'm owning it.
Yeah.
And I'm calling out to the universe. It's like, hey, this is who I am. Well, what that does, it makes you more of whatever you say you are.
Hmm.
So you
Yeah.
always want to make sure that you don't identify with whatever the block is. You
Hmm.
want to see it identified as an entity outside of yourself. Okay, this is what's happening in my life right now.
Hmm.
Now, now allow yourself and ask yourself, what is it that I need to do? And one way to do that is put ourselves in the parasympathetic. That's when we kind of heal and we allow our bodies to rest, and
Hmm.
when it makes ourselves feel safe. So deep breathing, and I do it all the time. I was doing something this morning. There was something I was experiencing with the situation, and I had to do some deep breathing to kind of pull myself back into homeostasis of being calm. Being ready to be on this podcast.
Hmm. And then obviously the other one is to really ask yourself not the why, but the how do I fix it? Like what
How?
do I need to learn? How do I fix it?
Yep.
And not the why.
How and what
Everybody wants to
questions?
know
What
the
do I
why.
need to do? How can I need to learn? What do I need to learn from this? What
Yeah.
is it I need to grow from this? What is it I need? What is it I need? See, because the subconscious mind, it releases baggage once it understands, or when you get the learning of what it needs to know. The
Mm.
reason I was able to let go that sex is hard and difficult, because I needed to learn that I am persistent, I am courageous, I am strong. That's
Mm.
once I understood that, everything started to just feel so much better for me, because now I got the learning that I should have gotten many years ago, but it was caught up in all this other stuff. So the subconscious mind wants to release whatever it is that you're blocking. So, but once you acknowledge it by itself, and really too, another one is tell somebody else. Obviously you don't want to tell people who are not going to encourage you. You want to tell people who are going to support you, because that too helps you. The healing starts to start the process immediately.
Amazing. So it's just crazy to me how the subconscious mind can put so many, challenges to us, even though consciously we don't want those challenges. Consciously we want things to be easy and feel good and money coming in and
Right.
business growing. But subconsciously, it's like, no, I want to learn that I am courageous. I want to
Yeah.
learn that I am capable. I want to
Well,
learn.
basically, it's always running on old programs, right? And some of the old programs, and that's one of the things. Some of the old programs, we don't even have any idea that it was running. It is running,
Yeah.
and so what happens is when we do set a goal, we set a goal says I want this, and then the subconscious mind like, nope. You remember way back when you were a little girl and you were on the playground and you tripped and fell. That's what, and those are the type of thoughts that our subconscious mind comes up with. So what I'm saying is that and if it's not in alignment, it's going to be very difficult. Think about it like this. This is the thought I want your audience to understand. Only about 5% of all of our behavior is on a logical, conscious level.
Oh,
5%, right? About 95% plus is all subconscious. So even if you want to consciously, if your subconscious mind is not in alignment with that, I would take bets every day on the 95% that is going to win. You know,
so sad. So sad and so real. So when somebody has, for example, just a case, so like if somebody has to sell for their business and they're not really a natural salesperson and it's a hard thing to do, like what is one thing that they can do? They just do, should they like go into the subconscious and see what's coming up to the surface, or what would you say?
well, basically, one thing about selling, that's where I got, my start is in sales.
Yeah.
In selling, number one, we need to reframe what selling is.
Mm, mm-hmm.
One of the things I share with people, selling is not selling. Selling is transference of emotions,
Mm-hmm.
meaning that if if it doesn't come from here, from the heart, if it's not something that you just really, it just should come out of you. I mean, because you're so excited about your product or service, you're just sharing the information with individuals. And that's the beauty part about it. It's not like, oh, I got to make a sale. It's like, no, man, I can't. I need to share this message with you. I need to share this message of transformation with you, not because it's just in me. It has to come out of me. And people buy the authentic feeling and emotion that is transferred. So
Mm,
number one is now in sales too. Another thing is when you're talking about baggage, most of the time when a person thinks about sales, they think about the negative connotations of sales.
mm-hmm.
People forcing them to do something they're not supposed to do, or people selling them something that is not worth it. So basically, we have to understand whatever product or service that we're selling, it is a value, and we feel like it is, and it will help individuals. So there's a lot of other things in the bottom of that, but one of the biggest things I try to share with people is when you're selling is not selling. Selling is just transferring of emotions. And what I used to coach when I first started coaching is that the sale is, in my opinion, is made in the first five a minute or two in the sales. It's all about rapport, how you make people feel. Do you make people feel safe? And then people need to like and trust you. People might like you, but they don't trust you because something that you're doing in your communication is actually preventing them from actually trusting you. So there's a lot goes on to that too. But part of it is, yes, understanding, just reframing it. It's not
Mm-hmm.
selling, it's transferring emotions. That's why you'll call a friend up and says, you know what? You got to go and see this movie. You don't even make money on it, but you are transferring your energy to them saying, look, this is the best movie I've ever seen. You need to go see it. Why are you doing that? Because you're excited about it. And that excitement alone is selling your friend to go see a movie that you don't even get a dime for.
Okay, yeah. So I like that you say reframe it. Reframe the whole emotion of like selling is bad, or I don't like to force people into buying something that they don't want, into like transferring emotion is something that you're passionate about
Yeah,
to give to others, and then you can transfer that emotion of passion and why you believe in it to someone else. That's
yeah,
basically what it is. Yeah, I like that
absolutely.
you
And,
say
it,
that.
and,
So,
and some people will want it, and some people want, and that's okay.
mm-hmm.
And it's like I'm looking for people who are looking for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And everybody might not like my style, and that's
Yes.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
And people might love my style, that's okay too. But it's not like, it's like I'm looking for individuals who are looking for me, and there are people out there who want your product or service. So that's the people that you're looking for.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm always a firm believer in, like, I'm not chasing clients. I am a magnetic of clients. So
I
I'm
love that.
here, I magnetize. Not everybody has to like me, but there's people out there that
Yeah.
do. So I'm okay with that. Okay, so when the business owner is, fast growing or scaling, and then have to lead their teams into this fast growth stage, how would you, what would you tell them to do with their mindset, and how to lead their teams to reach, to continue moving forward? Because some people may just go out of their jobs because they don't want to deal with the stress, or it's too much going on. They work long hours.
Right. Well, I think, when business owners, one of the key things, and one of the key things that I'd share with most individuals is that they need to understand what are their core values, personal
Mm,
core values, when it
mhm,
comes to what they're building.
mhm,
And that's so important that they know that, because of the fact that now they can now communicate that to their team. One of the challenges that most people have is that they don't even truly know what their core values are, right? And
mhm.
so when they're trying to communicate it to their team, they they're saying one thing and the team is thinking something totally different. To give you an example of that, meaning like my in my core values, and one of the sessions I do a core value session with individuals as the beginning, so like just to introduce people to me is something that they can afford, is not a lot of money, so they come and talk to me about their values. Now my number one value is love. And but if I say, hey, Alejandro, I love my job, you will have an internal representation or a picture that comes to your mind what you think it means to you. But it's so important that the owners let the individuals of their team understand what it means to him, so that they now are on the same page. When I say love, which is my number one value, for me is transference of energy that connects to the heart. You will never have guessed that.
Mhm,
But now you see it. Now I'm telling you what it means to me. So now I'm telling my team, here are our core values. This is what it means to me, so that now we're all communicating the same way. So one of the things that I share with owners is that, number one, you need to be clear on what you value, because your values is your deepest level of programming, and it
mhm,
actually controls most of our behavior.
mhm,
So basically, I have I'm looking at it now. I have about 10 values on my page here, and so there's like love, helping others, passion, making money, learning is one of my values. So when I'm looking at my values now, I know and understand what my behavior is and why I do what I do.
mhm,
So it's important that leaders understand their own personal values,
mhm,
and that is communicated to individuals.
mhm,
And it's also, if you have a small enough team, it's so also important that they understand the other person's values, so
mhm.
that they don't cross their boundaries. Why people leave, most of the time they leave jobs, is because the boss or somebody said something that came across them that was communicated incorrectly, and they didn't know it though. But they didn't even know that was important to them when it was said.
That's a really good point, because most of the times, and it's but goes back to communication. You communicate a way, and I receive it a certain way, and then I
Yes.
communicate this way, and then you receive it a certain way. So you have to be, and especially in business, you have to be so clear and so direct and so specific when it comes to your values and everything else, to the processes, your expectations, what you what you want to do, like the outcome that you're trying to get from this one particular thing. Not just say we're gonna reach 25% more revenue, okay, but like, it has to be more specific than that.
Well, and then you have to always. What I'm learning is always ask one more question. What does that mean to you? right?
Mm.
Or what are you going through? It's like in the past, I would get extremely upset when I would schedule an appointment and the person didn't show up, right? It's like,
Oh
oh my
yeah.
God, I'm here and I'm ready and I've invested my time, energy, and effort in being prepared, and then they didn't show, they didn't call, they didn't do anything. Instead of me now getting upset with that, I ask one more question: what's going on in their lives right now that's preventing them from actually being here?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so the first thing I normally do now is ask the question. I send them a text or email and says, "Hey, are you okay?"
Okay. Yeah, that makes
And that's the
sense.
same
Yeah.
thing we can do with our team members. It's like sometimes their performance, it has no indication that they don't like the job. It might be something going on in their life that you need to help them move or work through. So understanding the values, understanding that everybody have bad days, and
Mm.
understanding these things and asking the question instead of getting upset, just ask the question, are you okay? Is there something going on in your life that you want to talk about or you want to share or where we can help you move through?
Oh, that's a really good point. Like, make sure, remember that everybody's human, right? And everybody
Yeah.
goes through things as everybody else. And yeah, the other day I had a client call, and I remember that she asked me something, and I think I responded too fast, and I did not like my response, and I had to check myself. I'm like, okay, what are you going through, Alejandra? This is not like your voice. Like, what's happening with your responses? And then I
Right.
realized I'm exhausted. I am burned out. I am tired. So,
Right. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. And that's so important that you acknowledge that. Okay, what is it? I'm feeling really tired now. I'm feeling really exhausted. And my body is telling you.
yeah.
That's the part you remember we talked about the exercise earlier, is that is like that's so important what we're talking about right there. That's a really great point that you just made, Alejandra. Is that I'm feeling tired, I'm feeling exhausted. What do I need? The body is saying I need rest. I think we have to reschedule because something was happening in your life, right? Something you
Yeah.
weren't feeling well. That's okay. And that's what happens with the body though. This is a strange thing, is that you be pushing hard, hard, hard and trying to go through, and your body's raising his hand. Hey, I'm I'm tired. You says, well, I got to push through. I got to push through. I got to do the next client. No, you don't understand. I'm totally exhausted. You says, well, no, no, no. I got to push through. Then guess what happens? You get a flu. You get a cold. You bump your toe. You do something. And the body says, see, I told you I was tired. And now
Yeah.
I'm forcing you to sit your behind down because that's what I need, some rest.
This is so true. I mean, like, body will definitely put you to rest,
Yeah.
even if
Well,
your
but
mind.
that's the mind that's telling you. That's the communication we were talking about earlier in the other segment. Is that what is it that's blocking me right now?
Yeah.
Shoot, I'm just exhausted. I'm
Yes.
feeling tired. I'm feeling exhausted. What do you need to do? Oh, I need to take some time off.
Yes, correct. I
That's
do
the
need
answer.
some time off. I do need to take my mind and body are telling me you need a time off,
Yeah,
girl.
you need it.
But my heart is not in it yet, so gotta align the heart on that one. Okay, so what do you think? How much of success is internal between mindset belief versus external everything else?
Well, going back to what we talked about before,
Yeah.
if
Mm-hmm.
95% of my behavior is on the subconscious level, and
Mm-hmm.
only 5% is on a conscious level or on a cognitive level or logical level,
Mm-hmm.
most of all the things that we do definitely is going to be on a more of a subconscious level.
Okay.
That's what's
Yeah.
really driving our behavior. We think that we don't even know who's really driving the bus. We think that we're driving the bus. Hey, I'm doing this. I think I wrote an article uh, a few months ago. It was called a 2-year-old was running my company. And and going back to the exercise I did with myself, is that I'm running my company, but the behavior that I was actually exhibiting was that of a 2-year-old because I had 2-year-old baggage. So yeah, I would say most of it is definitely mental.
That's how I felt, like a 2-year-old, cranky, tired, exhausted. That's exactly how I felt. The 2-year-old was like, no more, please. Oh my God. Okay, so you have done NLP, which
Yeah.
is Are we talking timeline therapy? What is timeline therapy?
Basically, timeline therapy is basically it's what the one that I practice is called mental and emotional release, which is a derivative of timeline therapy. What
Okay.
it does is that we actually, all of us have a timeline,
Mm-hmm.
mentally have a timeline, meaning like our subconscious mind knows every time something has happened significant in our lives. It's stored
Mm-hmm.
there. We might not consciously remember, but
Yeah.
our subconscious actually remembers all of these things. And so, what we do with timeline therapy or mental and emotional release is that we allow your subconscious mind tell us where on your line is the problem. What is it? Is it what did it actually happen? Not consciously, but on a subconscious level. And really truly doing the exercise is really quick. As like I said, what was the first time that happened, Alejandro? Was it before, during, or after birth? Don't think about just the first thing that comes to mind. Then you're going to come up with the time.
Okay.
And that's
Interesting.
what timeline therapy. So basically, we take that time, we
Mm-hmm.
go and look on your timeline above the event and says,
Mm-hmm.
okay, what can I learn from this event?
Okay.
The learning of which will allow me to let go of this easily and effortlessly. Then we get learnings from that event. Then we go back before the event, and when you go before the event, it releases any negative energy that's tied to that event, sadness, guilt, the beliefs, whatever that is. It releases that energy, and then we give the every subsequent event the new learning that we have gotten from the learning that we got from that initial event. So that's what we do in timeline therapy. So basically, timeline therapy is really a light trance that a person goes through to allow themselves to give them the inner wisdom to come forward. The
Okay.
inner wisdom that knows all, has all the answers for themselves. That's why I believe that everyone has all the resources within themselves to be the best version of themselves. So they know the answers. I don't give people answers; they give themselves answers, and I use that information to now help program them, to reprogram them or condition a new behavior. And we do that through what we call integral hypnotherapy, where basically
Okay.
we do some hypnotherapy where we relax you. And hypnotherapy is basically we all go through trance, a form of trance. We all go through trance all the time. You've been driving, and all of a sudden you just kind of your conscious mind stop working, and your subconscious mind goes to work. Critical faculty is kind of relaxed, and you just driving. You end up you're at home safely because your subconscious mind has taken over and your conscious mind has kind of relaxed or critical faculty. So that's what we do with individuals. So yeah, we use neurolinguistic programming is just a way of programming, is the way of creating the language or the sequence or strategies that we run. All of us run strategies. We do 1, 2, 3, 4. If we have a flaw in our strategy, we need to change the strategy. And instantly we can actually reprogram the strategy so they can work to your benefit.
Wow, that's very. How long is that process? Like, it sounds very intense. Is that something that can happen over a period of like months, or is like a year process?
Minutes.
Minutes. Oh wow.
Minutes, literally. Once we, obviously if we're doing a deep coaching session,
Yeah.
um, if we're doing a a breakthrough session, I do a couple of different types of sessions. One is called a 1 day mindset reset, which
Mm.
is about it's a 3 hour session, about 2.5 to 3 hour session.
Mm-hmm.
But the process, so first we got to figure out what is it that's actually doing the block, right? The
Mm-hmm.
block, what is the block? And then once we find out what the block is, the actual going through and getting rid of the block takes less than 10 minutes per block. So if you come to me with making money, and he
Mm-hmm.
says, okay, I have a challenge making money. We figure out what is it that's driving that behavior of not making money. Well, we probably can trace it back to when you were 0 and 5. You were in the store. Your mom says, Alejandro, we can't afford that. Money doesn't grow on trees, right? That's the old belief. We changed that belief to an empowering belief. And then
Yeah.
because of that, what she said, it made you sad. So we get rid of the sadness. And it might have made you angry. So we get rid of the anger. So basically we get rid of all the emotions that's tied to that belief. But
Yeah.
each emotion might take about 10 minutes each or less. And then you
Interesting.
walk away. Once you go through one of those sessions, you're like, oh my God, why did it take me so long to get rid of this? You know, some people go through talk therapy for years and they go through this in minutes and like, oh my God, I feel so much better now. But the conditioning, you still have to condition the new behavior. But yeah, not years, minutes, and then we help you continue to condition a new behavior.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So, okay, so what if, so you always go back to like 0 and 5, you say, but what if you have more trauma saved in your subconscious after 5? Like those trauma events will still shape you, right? Your beliefs and your thought process going forward.
Yes. So normally,
Mm-hmm.
most of the trauma that we experience, think about it like this: between 0 and 7, if I say 0 and 5, it's about 0 and 7. The imprinting age is right when
Mm-hmm.
we actually just getting all this programming. This is really important. I don't really want to get too deep within the audience, but this is the thing: is that could have happened between 0 and 7. So, like, we'll just say something for me. I had a really bad car accident about 20 years ago. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
really, really bad car accident. I was fine, but I became so afraid that I couldn't hardly drive on the freeway.
Yeah.
So that's what we call a significant emotional event. But that caused me anxiety. Anxiety is my thoughts in the future that something's going to happen again. Now, I can go and release the anxiety really quickly, but I might have something else. Listen to this. Might have a similar emotion to what I experienced in that moment that didn't start at that moment. It could have started between when I was age 0 and 7. Now it's similar
Interesting.
to what I experienced. So you think about, I remember when I was in retail as a retail manager, someone put a gun in my face, right? So now I'm afraid. That feeling of being afraid, is that the first time I felt that? Probably not. That was a significant emotional event. The first time I felt it is when I was on the playground and this bully was bullying me. And I had that same feeling in my body that's causing the same feeling that I felt when the guy had the gun in my face. So, what we do is we always want to go back to the root cause of that similar emotion to make sure that we get the root so that when you're carrying it back through the actual event, you get that event and other similar events that kind of feels like the same thing. Because the subconscious mind loves to categorize things in categories. It doesn't just like you have sadness. Sadness is one emotion, but it attaches that feeling to a lot of different things that has happened in your life. So that's kind of what we do.
Oh wow, yes, I've seen that, experienced that a lot. It's very interesting. So do you think that when a business owner, because I get a lot of hesitation. Sometimes business owners are like, I want to exit my business, I want to sell it and make some money out of it. But then you can see that they say that, but their mind is not really there. So, like, their action is not really aligned. And you can see that there is like a push and pull
Right.
within themselves. And there's really nothing, what you can do about that. So, do you think that this goes back to that subconscious?
It could. It could. I mean, you think about it, is that so then the other question is that the other question, are they really ready to leave their business?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Sometimes we say something because we had a bad day, but that's not what we truly mean. And so we
mm-hmm,
want to make sure that that's something that they truly want and desire. So when
mm-hmm.
people come to me and say, "Hey, I want to change," I'm like, "Do you really want to change, or is this something, an idea?" Like your Think and Grow Rich says, "Okay, this needs to be a burning desire to want to move to the next level." If it's not at that level, if a person comes to me and says, I want to work with you, Curtis, this is great." So from a scale from 1 to 10, what is your desire to change? How do you feel? Is it from 1 to 10? It says, I'm about 3. I'm thinking about it, but I'm not really, not really. I'm like, okay, get the heck out of here because you're not ready.
Yeah.
I don't work with threes. I work with
Yes.
people 7, 8, and 9, and 10s that are really ready to move, make some change in their life. So first of
Mhm.
all, is that's what they really want to do. And then sometimes if there's something blocking them from doing it, that's totally different. Well, first of
Mm.
all, just is that their truly desire.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I mean, you're right. I should probably do a checklist and a quiz with people before and see, like, are you really ready to exit your business?
Right.
How ready are you?
Right. Well, how ready are you? Because they'll tell you. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm about, I'm thinking about it. So it's a one. So regardless of what you say,
Yeah.
if it's a person is a one, two, or three,
Yeah.
they're not ready.
Yeah.
You can show them the numbers, you can show them what they're going to make, you can show them
Yeah.
how beautiful
Yeah.
their life is going to be afterwards. But in reality, it's like, man, in reality, deep down, it's like, man, I love what I do. I know I'm not ready to quit right now. I'm
Yeah.
thinking about it, but that's not where I am. And that's kind of, that's a great part for you. I mean, hey, make sure that that's a person who's truly ready
You're
to make that
truly ready.
change.
How about growing though? That there's another one. Like you can see people like, I'm ready to grow. I'm ready to grow this business, and they're not really ready. Somehow they
Yeah,
don't follow through with their actions.
because they're not ready. They don't really want it. It's like it's like, are you willing to do the things that are necessary to actually grow the business? It's like it's one thing to say I want to be a LeBron James, right? I want to be like LeBron James. Now, are you willing to do what LeBron James does in order to be LeBron James? Get up early, stay up late, watch your eating, do the things that he does in
Be
order to be a great
consistent. Be
player.
persistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are
Yeah.
you willing to do that? I mean, I remember when I became number one in the company about 40 years ago, the president of the company was interviewing me and he says, well, Curtis, can anybody do what you did? I said, absolutely. But everybody's not willing to make the sacrifices that I made in order to do what I did. So I had to, number one, set that objective. And number two, do some daily actions along with mindset that I
Hmm.
needed to do in order to get there. Are you willing to do that?
Yeah.
And if the answer is no, it's like, okay, that's okay though. It's okay.
Hmm.
You know, it's not a bad thing. It's just reality. And it's okay. Reality is that I'm not ready yet. And I can appreciate that. When call me when you're ready, and I'll be the person to help you lead and guide you through it.
Do you have a story where you helped a client move? I mean, you don't have to share personal information, but like a story where you helped a client move from like, I am ready to grow my business, to like really be ready and really doing it and really move out of the way.
Oh, absolutely. Basically, usually if a person is ready, once they get rid of the baggage we talked about in
Yeah.
MER and timeline therapy, they're ready. Meaning now it's like, wow, because they're, think about it, what stops the person from actually being totally ready or
Hmm.
being totally clear or not having a clear vision is baggage, meaning they can't see it because of the fact that they carrying around this stuff that's actually blocking their vision. So
Yeah.
once we get rid of the junk, now they can really have a clear vision. And then now their creativity just really starts to flow. Like they see things totally different, they feel totally different. And then the more they see and sense themselves growing and expanding, the more they grow and expand.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I feel like that is the hardest part is really to like get out of the way of your own success, you know? And we like formulate these thoughts too. Like I know a lot of people that ask me questions. I'm like, how do you, and I find that really interesting to me because I don't have this kind of thoughts. They ask
Right.
me, like, how do you work in a male dominated industry? And I'm like, oh, really? I had no idea I was in a male dominated industry. And I am, and I kind of want, because I don't have those. Because if I do start thinking like that and then I start believing that,
Yeah.
I probably won't ever be successful because I'm thinking all
Right.
of that.
Absolutely. Think about it for me. I was born and raised in the '60s in Mississippi, where there's only was two races. It was black or white, and to try to find your way and to be successful in that era was,
Hmm.
one thing that my dad taught me was, hey, you can't be, don't worry about it, just be the best you can, so you have to be smarter, you have to be faster, you have to be all of these things in order for me to be successful in that era time. And that's what it's all about, is like it's all about me. And I have a friend of mine who was thinking, oh man, I'm in Mississippi, I can't do this, I can't do that. I'm like, wow, I'm not having that. I don't have that same belief system. When I was in financial services, most of my clients, I worked in the retirement industry. Most of them were 65 years old. Most of my clients were of the white persuasion. Did it bother me? No. because I did what I did. It's like because of the fact that I knew who I was and I was very comfortable in my skin.
Yeah, most of my clients are male, and I when people ask me that, I find it really funny. I'm like, really? I work with a lot of male clients. Is that really a thing? Okay, no, this has been great, Curtis, and I don't want to hold you up, but I do have one more question. If
Okay.
you were at a dinner and you liked to sit next to this amazing individual, who would that be, and what would you ask them?
That's a good question. Oh boy. Um, if I was an amazing dinner and who I want to sit by, probably my favorite philosopher, and we mentioned, oh man, so many, but Jim Rohn was one of my favorite. I mean, this guy was just, he just, he just talked plain. It was just like simple stuff. It's like, just do the work. All this other stuff that you guys do out there is like, it really does not important. It's like your mindset is the most important thing out there. Probably him, or probably Napoleon Hill. It could be anybody. It could even be Jesus himself. I mean, because Jesus basically was a great philosopher and he overcame and he went through problems and challenges, but still was able to do what he did. So it could be a lot of people. It could be. And the question I would ask is, I'll probably just, what is it that that moves you? And I think I already know what it is. I would just like to hear from them. It's like, just be you, just do what you do and be authentic to who you are. You know, um,
And in a world where there's so much tech and AI, authenticity is valuable right now.
yeah.
So being genuine, being
Oh
authentic is
man.
the most
Yeah.
valuable
It's
thing.
just being authentic. I mean, people are looking for authentic people. I truly believe that.
I agree with you 100%. Because of mindset, what would be a few things that you would tell everybody right now that are listening that they can do daily to improve their mindset?
Well, I think the one thing that it can do daily is watch their input, watch
Hmm.
what's actually coming into their world. I think we're bombarded with so much negativity today. If you
Hmm.
look, so for me, the first thing I do not look at social media at all. The first hour or so of my day is either me working on my body physically or working on my mind mentally, and
Hmm.
not looking at junk, because of
Hmm.
the fact that that's most important. There is a proverb in the book of Proverbs that says, you know, I think, guard your mind with all your heart, because out of it flows the issues
Hmm.
of life. So guard your mind, watch what you intake. That would be number
Hmm.
one thing that I would share with people. And number two is, then always now watch what comes in, and then also now watch what you say to yourself. How do you communicate with yourself? Because we can be our worst critic and we can be our worst enemy. So, like, kind of reframe the things that you think about as you think about them. And another thing would be take inspired action. When you do have a moment of inspiration and something comes up that feels right to you, move on it. Don't wait. Do something with
Oh,
it.
I love that. And I usually take 1 hour or two out of my morning. I wake up early and I do those 2 hours to journal, meditate, meditate guided, meditate alone, meditate on my chakras or whatever is
Yeah.
bothering me that day. I do, whatever kind of meditations, and then I journal a lot of what's going on inside of me and what tone I want in the day to be. What is my intention? How I'm moving through the day. And usually it takes me about 2 hours, believe it or not. So I work out in the evening.
Right.
That's my other personal time. Because for me, the mind is so important.
It is.
I've, I've had days where what happened, I ask at the end of the day. This day was horrible. And then I go back and I see, oh, I didn't meditate. I
Yeah.
didn't journal.
Yeah.
I woke up. I look at social media. And you can see how one event in the morning can have a triggering effect everywhere else.
Yes.
So mindset is more important than anything else. So for everybody that's listening out there, I will put Curtis McCullom in the show notes, his information. And is there anything else that I haven't asked you, Curtis, that you want to talk about today?
No, I think you did a great job. I appreciate you, Alejandra. I
Yeah,
mean, I've enjoyed myself. I can't believe we've been here almost an hour now,
I know.
and you just been, Is this for you personally? Were you talking to me for yourself?
I know. I'm just, I'm doing both, two for one.
When I'm doing my podcast on the Curtis McCullom show, I tell my audience, look, this one is for me because what they have to offer, I need to know right now, and
You
I'm
know.
listening in. You can listen in if you choose to, but this is for me.
Oh, well, I mean, I am a firm believer in like everything that you said. I've done all kinds of therapies. I've done the talk therapy. I've done the EDMR. I've done the somatic therapy. I've done the hypno. All of it because I am a firm believer on improving myself.
Beautiful. I love that. I love it.
Transformation is key. If we're not moving forward, then we're not moving at all.
That's
That's how
right.
I see
That's
it.
right.
So, everybody else listening, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Adios, muchachos.